Discussing 8 rights that residents of assisted living don't frequently know they have. My name is Josh Casper, and I'm an elder law attorney from Minnesota. Been practicing for approximately 10 years. Prior to becoming an attorney, I was a regional long-term care ombudsman, investigating resident rights complaints and issues from residents and families in nursing homes and assisted livings and home care agencies throughout the Twin Cities metro area. Many of the rights I'm going to discuss in this video have intricacies I'm not going to be able to discuss in a 5 or 10 minute video. I want to make sure you know that their rights might exist, but that in order to fully exercise these rights, I would strongly encourage you to consult with an attorney prior to exercising the rights. The first right I'm going to discuss is that you have the right to be free of abuse or harassment within your apartment and an assisted living. Now that right goes beyond obviously the right that you can't be harassed or assaulted by your caregivers. You also have that right to be free of that conduct from visitors and from loved ones. Now, what this particular right allows is that in certain circumstances, a resident can terminate their lease without payment except for the loss of their security deposit. What the right is meant to provide is the right of a tenant to be able to move out and find safe housing in order to get away from harassment or abuse. The second right we're going to discuss briefly in this video is that as a resident of an assisted living, you have the right to call 911 without harassment or interference by the assisted living staff, which means they can't retaliate against you if you believe you need to call 911. The third right we're going to talk about is the right of an assisted living resident to be free from discrimination. Now, discrimination in their apartment is freedom from being discriminated against based on race, color, creed, religion, national origin, sex, marital status, disability, public assistance, sexual orientation, and familial status. Now we're going to come back and we're going to talk about this right of freedom of discrimination and a little bit more when we talk about assisted livings requiring you to private pay before using elderly waiver in particular for a certain period of time. But we're not going to discuss that more in this video. But oftentimes residents forget that the freedom from discrimination applies in assisted livings. You have the right to be free from a landlord engaging in what's called self-help when you live in an assisted living. Self-help you can think about as traditionally a landlord decides he doesn't or she doesn't want you to live there anymore, and for instance they super glue the locks shut. Traditional apartments. In assisted livings it's more frequently displayed by being sent to an emergency room and not having the assisted living be willing to take you back after your stay at the hospital. Assisted living residents often don't know that they have the right to have immediate access within the facility by an ombudsman or an attorney of their choice. Residents of assisted living have the right to be free from retaliation. Retaliation can be free from retaliation for bringing up grievances. It can be freedom from retaliation for threatening to sue or from actually engaging in a suit, threatening a suit. It can be freedom from participating in, for instance, a health department investigation, a health department survey, talking to a police officer about the facility. Any number of things that would appear to be the start of a grievance or participation in a grievance against the facility or other investigation. Another often underutilized right that assisted living residents have is the right to cameras within their units. Now there are some limitations on that right in Minnesota. I have a blog post about that I'll post below. But I strongly encourage residents of assisted living to have cameras in their units. We know that people behave differently when they're being watched. We know that cameras provide a certain fundamental level of protection of residents of long-term care from abuse and neglect. Finally, one of the rights that is far too frequently underutilized is the right of assisted living residents to form resident councils and their families to participate in family councils. I cannot stress for you enough the ability of a group of residents and their loved ones to effectuate change and improve quality within the long-term care setting. That right to have family councils and resident councils is the right to have a meeting space, is the right to have staff assistance in organizing it. It's also the right to have privacy within those meetings. You have the right to a liaison with a staff member, and you have the right to have responses to the issues that you raise. If you want help, if you need speakers with your resident or family council, if there's anything I can do to help you organize, I'm happy to do so. Take a minute to subscribe below, turn on your notifications for when we post new content. Give us feedback on what videos you want. This particular video came directly from a resident who posted that they wanted more videos about resident rights in assisted livings. So I'm hoping this is a start. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll be back soon.